Leveling is so fast right now, it's insane. With the announcement of the 50% experience buff earlier this month and the combination of the time-walking Cataclysm dungeon event, I managed to get this level 50 alt I had to 60 in under 5 hours. And stick around for the end of the video so you can know exactly when the experience buff ends. I don't know if Classic is why I've had this burst of hype towards the game, but I don't remember when I was so excited to play World of Warcraft again.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Ever since Wrath of the Lich King Classic was announced, I knew I had to play it again. And boy did I had a great time going through all the zones, experiencing the music, the sounds, the atmosphere, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got my level 80 Warlock, but I've had enough. Time to go back to be a retail enjoyer. So in preparation for Dragonflight, which is going to release globally on November 28th, I wanted to get some dead alts to 60. I got this Paladin and I healed my way to 60 in just one day, casually just doing the Cataclysm dungeons that is present in the Time Walking event that is active right now, and the Time Walking event ends in the next reset. So now this is the time to take advantage of this. I really have to say that it went even faster because I was healing. I'm always advocating to play the roles that people tend to play less. I totally understand that most of the people enjoy playing damage dealers. You get less responsibility and you get the same rewards from the end of the dungeon. And most importantly, you wanna see some big numbers.
Every single time that you have a number pop up, it's like you're busting a fucking nut.
And while I understand it completely, I still wanted to level quickly and not just do laps around Oribos for hours. Let me tell you this, an amazing DPS is a freaking godsend in cutting-edge endgame raids. Much of the time, great DPS will allow you to skip entire mechanics, making it that much easier on your healers and tanks. Passable DPS players are disposable because there are so many of them. A truly great DPS is very much sought after. A lot of people will tell you, oh well, as long as I do enough DPS to clear, that's fine, yes. But passable DPS and great DPS literally makes the difference between, oh god, this fight is so difficult, to owning the raid completely. And trust me when I say that it feels awesome to have the latter. Aside from purposes of theory crafting and taking pride in pulling huge numbers, great DPS can make fights much more enjoyable. I believe I say for myself and others, great DPS meant the difference between a clear and a wipe, especially in early clears when there is very little compromise that you can make in this regard. As much as healing and tanking are important aspects, great DPS make their job that much easier. This is something I feel credit is due and little given. And with all that said, know that DPS players are plentiful, and you can find an abundance of them in all aspects of the game, while tanks and healers are seen as the more sought-after role. This means shorter queue times while looking for a group in the group finder and actually playing the game instead of doing daily quests. Tanks and healers get to play less desirable roles and in return get invited more frequently, and damage dealers get invited less but will play something that will require less group responsibility and just go pew, 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 until the fight is over. By the way, I promised to tell you when this EXP buff is going to end. So while Time Walking is ending next week, the 50% experience buff will still remain active until the Draktyr Evokers are playable, and according to the World of Warcraft official website, it will only occur on November 15th. This means you still have one more Time Walking week to use these tactics on all of your alts, as long as they qualify for the minimum level requirement. And on November 9th, you'll have another chance to use this time in the Mist of Pandaria Time Walking event, to just breeze through levels and get to play the class you always wanted to play, just in time for the Dragonflight release. Let me know in the comments if you planned on leveling any long forgotten alts that you hadn't touched since BFA ended, because I did. Make sure you're subscribed to get more videos like this one, and I'll see you next time.